Hello, this is Melissa. I am here to talk to you about our Patreon page. This is a page that you can go to and give us a monthly donation as you listen to our podcast, and you can get bonus content such as getting episodes early, getting bonus episodes, and a bunch of other things. Eventually, we'd like to do some t-shirts and so much more. So if you're interested, no pressure, you can go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/MessyBunMama's podcast. Again, that's patreon.com/MessyBunMama's podcast. In a fitting manner, there is a coffee membership, a cold brew membership, and an espresso membership. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on that page, and thank you so much for listening.
MessyBunMama's. I'm Joe. I'm John. I am Malcolm. Wow.
Hello. Welcome to episode number 6. We are like into March, going strong.
A month and a half now.
I know. That's so exciting to me. Like, really, really excited, guys. I hope you're enjoying these as much as I am making them.
Ditto. We have a lot of conversations where we talk about we're enjoying this whole process.
Right? And I mean, we're hilarious, if I do say so myself.
I make myself laugh when I listen to the episodes. So I'm like, oh, I hope somebody else enjoys me as much as I do.
It's so true though, because I laugh, and then like Belinda or Mike are just like, "Are you laughing at your own joke?" I'm just like,
yes,
it was funny.
Yes, I am. Dan says the same thing. He's like, that wasn't really that funny. I'm like, yes, it was.
I thought it was funny, even the second time around. So yeah, if you want to go through your mom moment of the week.
My mom moment of the week was last night, Melissa. Oh, my little precious angel. So yesterday we actually had a play date with a friend, and when we got home, Joe did an amazing job of like just occupying himself for an hour and a half. Like, I got so much work done on all my side hustle stuff in that hour and a half. Like, he came and asked me a question one time. I'm like, what is going on? We're having play dates for the rest of our lives every day. But then later on in the evening, then he decided that he wanted to like cuddle with me all night long. And I had some stuff to do. You know, I do my 31, and they were doing the spring reveal last night. And so I was trying to pay attention to that, but also then cuddle with him. So I had the earbuds in, and he kept pulling them out, and I was just ready to. So at the end of the night, I knew that I had been a little frustrated with him. Not that I yelled at him. I just gave him the mom eyes of, you better stop it now.
Yeah.
On a couple of occasions. But when we got we were getting ready for bed, and he was starting to just doze off, and I was kind of just combing his hair over, and I said, Joe, you know, Mama will love you forever and ever. And he just smiled, and I said, will you love Mama forever? And he smiled again, just real sleepily, and said, yes, Mama. And I said, will you love me even when you're grown up and big and strong like Daddy? And he smiled even bigger, and he said, yes, Mama. And I said, will you love me forever even when you grow up and you move away? And he got real silent. I actually thought he'd just fallen asleep. But then he opened up his eyes and he looked at me real serious and he said, I won't do that, Mama. And I was like, you can go to sleep now. You just made my heart so happy. I mean, obviously, I know it's not realistic. I want him to grow up, follow his dreams, do what he needs to do, find a good wife, get married, have children, whatever he wants to do. But right there in that moment, even though I had frowned at him and gave him my angry eyes, like a good portion of the night, he still was committing to me that he was going to live with me forever. Something every mom wants to hear about her little boy.
Right?
So it was a super sweet moment.
That's so cute.
Yeah. So how about you?
Okay, so my mom moment of the week it's got to do with my son John, who is 7. He says these random things that I think he's lying about on the regular, like for sure. So the thing that he said last night is that octopus eat from their butts. Octopus eat out of their butts. Okay, John.
It does, to be fair, that does sound kind of made up.
Mm-hmm. Hey, just so you know, octopuses eat out of their butts.
It's true.
Octopus, if they get really hungry, they'll just start eating themselves.
Ew. I guess.
Sounds fake, right?
Yes, it does.
It's true.
Okay.
Now
I'm going to have to go home and Google this.
Oh my gosh. This is literally, the other day he was just like, hey, Bot. I was like, what, dude? He's like, do you know that mosquitoes, when they bite you, that they suck out your blood, and what they do is they're not just sucking out their blood, but they're sticking their saliva inside of you, and it's like poison, so that's what causes it to itch. What? Where is he getting this information?
Right.
It's just like these random things he spits out that, like, honestly, I know way more about the animal kingdom than I ever have in my entire life, because he I don't know if what he's reading or what he's watching, but it's just like, hey, but octopuses eat out of their butts. Of course they don't. Like, that's the most ridiculous. They do, though.
So has he said, is it something that he's getting from one of the shows he watches, or is it school, or?
I honestly, so he's a really big, like, I don't know if I've said it like on the podcast, but he pretends he can't read.
Okay.
I don't know why, but he for sure pretends he cannot read. We will be somewhere doing something, and he's like, and he'll ask me a question related to something around us that he obviously had to read. But if you ask him, he's like, I can't read. Or I'll be like, the movie's not on there. He's like, it says Major Poopy Pants right there. And I'm just like, does it? Does it say Major Poopy Pants? I obviously made that up. But like, how do you know it says Major Poopy Pants? He's like, oh, I don't. I can't read.
I wonder if this is a boy thing, because Joe will do this with me, like when we're doing school stuff. Like, I know he knows the answer, but he'll ask me, like, does like, I'll say, what sound does A make? Does it say "buh," Mom? I know you know the answer to this, and he's smiling like the whole time. Like, so is it a boy thing?
You mean, are they so perpetually lazy that they want to pretend that they can't read and don't know things, because then our expectations are going to get too high?
We'll expect more out of them. It's true. It's like one of my life goals too. I'm not going to fault them for that.
Maybe it's just like ingrained from their chromosomes. Right. Like, we're just going to maintain the lowest expectations that we possibly can.
No one will ever expect anything from us.
I'm going to purposely do the laundry wrong so that I never have to do it again.
Right.
So my mom moment of the week is that my 7-year-old is like super smart, and
He schooled you.
yeah, it just sounds like a ridiculous thing, and it's just so random. Like, we're sitting on the couch just like, hey, Ba, do you know octopus eat out of their butts? And he says it like in such a boy way. Like, I don't know if whatever. Boys are obsessed with farts and poop and buttholes and just butts and just
things that come out that other end.
Yeah. Like, so when he said it, I was just like, okay, John.
It does sound made up. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So that's my mom moment of the week.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about rewarding your children. Is it rewarding them, or are you bribing them, actually? So I did a little bit of research, and of course it's easy to find. Like, most of the articles that support rewarding them also offer like suggestions on good ways to reward your kids and things like that. But I was very interested to find like all these articles that are super against like rewarding your children. I was kind of shocked. Like, the CDC actually has a really good article on rewarding your children and the best and effective methods to do it. But there was this article from naturalchild.org that really kind of, I mean, they do some good explanation as to why they don't think that it's a good thing. Like, I mean, very obviously you can tell that it's just a regular person like you and I writing it, but I'll read you a paragraph. The praise and reward method is definitely honky-dory, since it is backed by a ton of evidence from the most methodical and ingenious research that money can buy. Actually, it springs from the work of psychologists who painstakingly discovered that they could train rats to run mazes, pigeons to peck at colored buttons, and dogs to salivate at the sound of dinner bell by giving them a controlled schedule of rewards. Psychologists soon became titillated about the idea of controlling human beings by applying to us the same principles that worked on animals. Imagine their excitement when they realized that rewards work exactly the same on humans as on rats, pigeons, and dogs. Modern psychological know-how has enabled us to manipulate children's behaviors, thoughts, and emotions in the same way as we can teach a seal with a few sardines and a little flattery to balance a ball on its nose. Now, what's funny is that all the articles that are kind of against it kind of have the same type of mentality of, it's a bad thing to program your children. So it kind of interested me because I do kind of sit on the fence of what do you reward your child for,
or how you reward them,
or how you reward them. So I just said, so that's actually what had made me start thinking about this, because Dan and I have had strong discussions where I have said, I don't believe that you should get bonuses at work for doing the work that you're already getting paid to do. I mean, it's nice. I accepted it when I was in the working world. I wasn't going to turn it away because it came. But I said, I struggle with that, with the mentality that you're going to pay me extra to do the job that you're already paying me to do. And so Dan and I have had those types of discussions about that type of stuff. And so I struggle then with also applying it to my son. Like, very obviously, I know that rewards work, and he's a very reward-based kid. Like, for instance, I know he knows how to trace the letter A correctly, but just to irritate me, he won't stop the line. He just continues to go all the way down. So my husband said, make him earn it. Tell him for every A that he does correctly, that he's going to get a star. And at the end of so many stars, that he'll get a prize. And it works. That kid doesn't like give me hardly any trouble anymore. And even if he does like starts to veer off on what he was doing, I'll say, okay, well, that's one less star you're getting. And he will actually erase his work to do it over again. And so I've super struggle with like the balance of it, because I think that rewards do work, but on the opposite end, I'm like, just do your letters right. But I know, like, growing up, my parents, my mom especially, gave us like allowance for doing our chores and things like that. And so I don't think it's all bad. I just struggle with the balance of it.
I think that I want to like put a line in the sand of like, let's not talk about allowances, because I feel like that's a completely different thing.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, good. Because I think because there's so much in both these topics that like, let's cut the allowance part off of it. Okay. So.
Because it's almost different.
You're
getting paid to do a job versus.
Exactly. Okay. So did your parents reward you when you were a kid?
I don't remember my mom. My dad, I know for sure, did not reward us for that type of thing. My mom, though, she didn't reward us herself, but like I remember if we got good grades in school, we got to take our report cards to Chuck E. Cheese, and then you got so many tokens for your A's and your B's and your C's.
Good job, Chuck E. Cheese.
Right.
They don't do that anymore.
And like
that's why the education system is failing. Chuck E. Cheese.
It's all your fault. And like, Pizza Hut had their book it program.
Yeah.
If you read so many
they still
books,
have that.
They do. You got free pizzas and things like that. So she didn't necessarily reward us herself. She led us to the programs that rewarded us.
Okay.
So I kind of feel like she was supplemental to that. So it wasn't like we didn't get rewarded. How about you? Did you get rewarded as a kid?
Okay, so I grew up with brothers who had ADD and ADHD. Okay. So my parents went to a lot of like parenting seminars and like to try and figure out like how to deal with my brothers. So they definitely like tried and didn't try a bunch of different things. But one of the things that they did that I still remember to this day, and I actually have used on my kids, is this thing called the chip system.
Okay.
So basically you earn chips for doing things and then you buy things with them.
Cash them in. Yeah.
So the example I'm going to give is with my kids. So my kids, this was when Corona just hit. Okay. We are all home. Mm-hmm. So it is very easy to just hand the kids their tablets all day, every day. Well, Malcolm, he had a very intense, significant addiction to his tablet. It made him like crazy emotional. It made him illogical. It made him hit. It made him like super intense.
We have moments with Joel
for a 2.5-year-old. Yeah. Like crazy. So I'm just like, okay, this isn't happening. Like we're not doing this. Like I'm not dealing with this. And so we set up this chip system. And the other thing is like John was calling people butts. John was like just ugh. But I mean, we're all in the house.
He was being a boy.
He was being a boy.
He had no other outlets.
And we didn't get a break through the day. So we started the chip system. So for example, little boys are smelly. I don't know if you know this, but they literally will never change their clothes or brush their teeth unless you force them to.
Right.
Rayla's 18 months old and she loves getting her hair brushed, brushing her teeth, changing her clothes. Like that's
just something different.
Yeah. Like why? So they got a chip, one chip for getting dressed, one chip for brushing their teeth, one chip for combing their hair, and Malcolm would get one chip if he peed on the potty. Okay. Well, 3 chips equals 30 minutes on the tablet.
Okay.
So Malcolm brushed his teeth, went pee on the potty, and did another menial thing about 4,000 times a day. So he could just
He manipulated
the system.
At 2.5, he picked it up and was just like, I've got this.
I'm rocking this. John sat in his room with no TV, no tablet, no nothing for the whole 3 months this went on. Malcolm is just like throwing chips around, drowning in chips. John's like negative chips. So I'm like, okay, this obviously is not working based on their personality types, because the whole point of it was John needs to behave better and Malcolm needs to earn his things.
Right.
Malcolm is totally fine doing things for rewards.
Yes.
He's fine. He'll do it. But the thing is like, it doesn't change the fact that you can't be on your iPad 12 hours a day.
Right.
But he will, what do I need to do to earn 3 chips? You need to empty the dishwasher. That kid will empty the dishwasher 14 times a day.
Right.
He just will. It's not a big deal for him. It only takes a couple of minutes.
I'll do the work.
I get in my iPad all day long.
That happy-go-lucky, just whatever you need done, that's what I'm going to do.
Because I want what I want. John will just be like, I'll just sit here in the dark on a mattress with no blanket and live on bread and water.
And
because I'm
loudly about it.
Because I'm spiteful and you're not going to force me to do anything I don't want to do.
I get it.
So it's definitely like a pro and a con for the reward system, because like every kid is different.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Is you got to make it effective for them. Like for Joe right now, I shouldn't say I don't allow him to pick out what he gets as a reward. His reward right now is a book, and he's happy with that, but he gets to choose what book that he picks out. And right now he's totally into I don't know if you've seen them, they're the board books, the Never Touch a Porcupine or Never Touch a Elf or whatever. So he gets to pick out one of those. I order it on Amazon, gets delivered to our door, and then it sits up on the shelf until he earns that book. But it totally works for those situations. I won't say that I use it for behavior. Like I don't want you to do this type of a behavior anymore. Just because I don't want him to be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I struggle with some of that line as well. I grew up being a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to do things just because that he'll get praise or affection out of somebody for having done that work.
Well, and like as a manager in the workforce, I have a really hard time thanking people for doing their job. And I literally have had like, I'm very close to some of my like former employees or whatever current, and they tell me like, well, you never say like, you're not good at giving like positive affirmation like daily. I'm just like, you get your paycheck though.
Right. You're still getting paid. This is where I was on the lines with this.
So I don't understand like why I need to say thank you so much for, doing the bare minimum of your job. I'm all about saying thank you and giving praise when somebody goes above and beyond, especially if I don't ask them to, or they do like a fantastic, outstanding job. That looks amazing. Great job. But like, you want me to say thank you for performing the basics of this job?
Right.
No. So I struggle a lot with rewards and like that sort of stuff with my kids, because it's like, I expect you to go pee on the potty.
Right.
I expect you to brush your teeth. These are basic human things.
The pretend yay that just came out of me is totally forced. Yes.
I mean, and the thing is like Malcolm's potty training, I can give him a high five, make a big deal about it now. But if John pees on the potty,
I'm not gonna.
what do you want? Why
Right.
am I it's just so hard. And I think people pleasing is a really good way about it, because let me tell you, I mean, my mom, like I said, she definitely did like reward systems when we were younger, but I was a Malcolm. Like, I am gonna optimize my tokens so I can buy like
Whatever I need to
whatever
get
I
through life.
want. I had like a savings account of all these tokens. And you know, my brother that she actually made the chip system for, he was like John. He had like negative chips and he was just like,
Right.
whatever, I don't care. You do you. I don't need those chips. So obviously it didn't work.
Right.
And it's going to work for the kids. I shouldn't say like it's always going to work for the kids that don't need it, but every kid is different. And I don't know. It's so hard for me because it's like, with the kids, okay, again, I have 3 kids. Let me tell you, every night at the end of the day, our living room is a disaster. Every day it needs to be vacuumed. I don't know how. I don't know what they do in there. Every day it needs to be picked up. Every day there's like 5 days of clothes that wind up in there on the floor that are dirty. It's just astounding. So, you know what I did one day? I went in there and I said, listen, I'm going to set a 5-minute timer. Whatever isn't picked up, I'm
It's
throwing in the garbage. Well, after 5 minutes, they like low-key picked stuff up. Wasn't a big deal. Well, after 5 minutes, I took a garbage bag and I'm throwing things in the trash. And they're just like, are you going to hide that? I'm like, no.
I'm throwing it away.
So I took the bag and I threw it in the bin, like outside in the garbage bin. And they had a meltdown. And it was hard for me too, because I'm throwing away puzzle pieces that I realize in my mind, I am ruining this toy.
Right.
Like, I know that I'm ruining this toy. But the thing is like, I had to do it because like now whatever's on the floor when they go to bed, if it's not picked up, I throw in the trash.
Yeah.
So let me tell you.
There's nothing on the floor when they go to bed.
There's nothing on the floor when they go to bed except blankets.
Right. I am still working on that issue with Joe, but I have done something similar. I did not throw away like bigger stuff, but I picked out like, because he is the kid, just wherever he goes, his toys like follow him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I can't with you. And so I have intentionally like, pick this up. If you're going to do something else, you need to pick this up first. If you don't, I'm throwing it away. So I did something kind of along the same lines. I walked into the room, picked out all the McDonald's toys for stuff that I didn't care about. But he's a kid that's like very emotionally attached to everything.
Same.
He loves everything. And you can get rid of something and like 2 months down the road, I'm the same way though.
Yes.
He'll be like, oh, by the way, mama, what happened to, where's my, and so I just very intentionally picked up stuff that I knew I didn't care about or I wouldn't be upset with. Like, I just spent $20 on that and tossed it in the garbage in front of him. And
yes,
there was an initial meltdown, but now if I say, if you don't pick this up, I'm going to throw it away. All I have to do is start to walk towards something, and then everything gets kind of thrown into a basket. So.
Well, and I think that that's kind of where I've landed on the reward system is like, I don't feel like rewards motivate my children appropriately.
Right.
Consequences do.
Consequences. And that's how life really works, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly... Hello, this is Melissa. I am here to talk to you about our Patreon page. This is a page that you can go to and give us a monthly donation as you listen to our podcast, and you can get bonus content such as getting episodes early, getting bonus episodes, and a bunch of other things. Eventually, we'd like to do some t-shirts and so much more. So if you're interested, no pressure. you can go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/MessyBunMama's podcast. Again, that's patreon.com/MessyBunMama's podcast. In a fitting manner, there is a coffee membership, a cold brew membership, and an espresso membership. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on that page. And thank you so much for listening. I'm that way. Like, I'm not going to be rewarded. Like, my opinion on bonuses is like, I mean, it's not really part of my pay.
Right.
So I don't really count it as income until it hits my account.
Right.
But if they tell me, like, if you don't do this, you're going to get a cut in pay, I'm going to do it. Right. I'm motivated by consequences.
Right.
And that kind of seems like how it works for my kids. They're just not motivated by rewards.
Right.
Or they manipulate it. Thanks, Malcolm.
He is your child, though.
I know.
He just found the system, found the way to work the system. I mean, why not, right?
It's still, though, it still just blows my mind. And like, even now to this day, if he wants to play on his iPad, he's like, what do I need to do to play on my iPad?
Yeah.
Well,
so no, I think I just took offense to the article because the article really kind of made it out to be kind of if you reward your kids, you're treating them like a lab rat. Where I don't think that that's the case, but I do think that you should work on teaching your kids to what do I want to say? That they should do the stuff that they're supposed to do because they're supposed to do it.
See, I just don't understand the lab rat thing. Like, you are teaching your kids like a dog.
Right.
You train them, they have to pee in the potty.
Right.
If you let them run around and pee all over your house, let me tell you, the boys would pee everywhere in the house.
Literally.
So I don't understand. Like, yes, you have to train them that they have to pee in the bathroom.
This coming from the mom, well, not from Melissa, but just we've had to have outright arguments with Joe as to why he needed to use the toilet versus the bathtub to pee. I mean, I'm arguing with a 4-year-old of why he has to use the toilet versus the bathtub to pee.
Yeah, you have to train them like a lab rat, like a dog, like whatever you want to like minimize it to be like. I just don't understand when like professionals say like, well, that's, here it is.
Well, when I was reading it, I thought, well, how else do you learn except to be rewarded? I mean, you even think about it, just babies. Babies learn to smile at you because they smile and it gets a reaction from you.
Yep.
And so, I mean, do I think that you should give some type of positive affirmation? I'm terrible about it as well, by the way. Yes, but like I do kind of, I'm gonna go on like the opposite spectrum and go back to the people pleasing, because one of the things that the CDC website talks about is like giving examples of social rewards like affection and praise and attention, or that type of stuff. And while I think that it is good, like I'll high five Joe, I don't want him to think that that's the ultimate reason that he should be doing something because he got praise from me.
Yeah. And
I've actually had long conversations with my sister-in-law about this because we had a kind of a disagreement about it, not like in a wicked, terrible sense, but I said, I try not to say things to Joe like, when you do that, that makes mommy sad.
Yeah.
Or when you do that, that makes mommy super happy. Just because I want him to do things because it's the right thing to do versus that will make mom mad if I do it, or that will make mom happy. I mean, very obviously he's going to know what makes me happy or sad without me.
Yeah.
I think I'm clear enough on my my reactions that he should be picking up those those social cues at this point. So I do disagree a little bit with the CDC on giving too much of that type of thing, just because I don't want him to be a people pleaser like I have struggled with for many years of my life. So I think that's about it for this episode. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our recommendations for the week. What is your recommendation for this week, Melissa?
All right. Well, I'm just going to like hold steadfast to my movie themes. Because I'm not a big, like, I am very like bare boned about our toys. Not that we don't have any toys. We have 18,000 toys. But like, I don't really buy new toys. All the toys I buy are like used, or they're gifted to us or given to us, or the kids play with a box. I mean, we're not really big on toys. So the one that I want to recommend, because again, March is Women's History Month. So I am the most sexist feminist that you'll ever meet. That's what my friends tell me. So I am all about like empowering my daughters, you know, to be not only self-reliant, but like self-assured or whatever. So there are things that I intentionally show them just because, you know, they're strong things for women. And it's not necessarily like burn your bra, don't shave your armpits sort of like women strength. And the thing is like, I'm not talking down to that or whatever. You do you have your beliefs. I mean more like I want my women to have an opinion and I want them to have strength.
Right.
So the movie that I am recommending is, I don't know if anybody has seen it. It's from 2015 and it's called Home. So this movie, by the way, Rihanna is actually the voice of it. And she does the soundtrack, which my kids absolutely adore. But it's about like, this is going to sound kind of scary, but like aliens invade Earth and relocate the human population.
Okay.
And this girl like hides while she's here, so she doesn't get relocated. So she spends the whole movie like trying to get back to her mom.
I think I almost watched this one night.
It's so good.
Okay.
It's so good. You have to watch it. So, I mean, there was a spinoff that Netflix did on it and like whatever, but it's so good because this little girl, I mean, she for sure went above and beyond to like get what she wanted and what she needed in a difficult situation. Like, obviously it's funny, there's bright colors, the aliens aren't bad, so it's not like they're running around trying to kill her. So I mean, obviously it's painted in a very like bright colorful light, but I really think that it's a good movie for you to show not only your daughters but your sons, because it shows that like, you know, go for what you want, go for what you need, you know. You can sing while you're doing it. You can, it's okay. So it's called Home. It's by DreamWorks, actually. And it's on Hulu, it's on YouTube TV. You can rent it on, you know, Amazon Prime or Vudu, but it comes with your Hulu subscription if you have one. So
options to watch it. We're gonna have to watch that then. My recommendation for this week is a book that I started reading earlier this week. I've decided, because I used to have such a love for reading, and like the last couple of years I've kind of just let it go down the tube. So I have stacks and stacks of books, so I decided to start reading some of them.
Instead of just buying more books.
Buying more, I'm gonna read them. But this one that I started to read this week was recommended to me from a friend and a leader, actually, and it's about the Enneagram. Have you done the Enneagram?
Yes, I have. What are you?
I'm a 4. I'm a 4.
What's your wing?
With a wing 3. I'm almost sure I'm a 3.
Okay, so why don't you go through and then why don't you go through your recommendation
Okay.
then at the end?
And the book that I'm reading is called The Road Back to You. And it's this guy that learned about the Enneagram, and he's just done a ton of research on it. And I've just gotten to the part where he starts to go through each of the different Enneagrams. And his point in the book is to not really make you feel super fluffy about anything or to make you feel super bad. But he said he thinks that the Enneagram is good for the purpose of seeing your opportunities and working on them to make yourself a better person.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Which is I feel fair, because once you do find your Enneagram, and I was talking to my husband about this yesterday. We had lots of good conversations lately, it seems. I said, I really like the Enneagram just because I feel like it hits me more on the nose than any other personality test ever has. And it was super interesting because he also explains like how it bounces off. Like there's an arrow that points to your number from another number, and an arrow that points away from your number to another number. So it's not just the wings that touch your number, but in negative situations, you have a tendency to go towards, I think I'm a 1. And I was like reading all the bad things that 1s do. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so true. And then I was reading all the positive things that I think it was like a 7 or an 8. And I was like, oh, that's totally me. And so it's been super kind of eye-opening to read the book. And so I highly recommend it. There's even a workbook to go through after you finish the book. So I'm going to be interested to go through that and check that out. So The Road Back to You, and it's by Ian Morgan Cron and Suzanne, I'm going to say Stable is her last name.
So you're 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm at the Enneagram Institute website, and 4 is the individualist, the sensitive, withdrawn type, expressive, dramatic, self-absorbed, and temperamental. Do you know your wing?
Yeah, I'm very sure it's a 3.
Okay, so the wing is like, so basically the way that works is
you touch one of the sides, like 3 or 5.
Yes. So the wing is the achiever, the success-oriented, pragmatic type, adaptive, excelling, driven, and image conscious. So you feel like that describes you well.
Yes.
Okay, so I am a 3.
Okay.
W2.
Oh, okay. So you're just one step back from me.
Yeah. So basically I am a success-driven, which is the 3. And then 2 is the helper, the caring, interpersonal type, demonstrative, generous, people-pleasing, and possessive. So this was hilarious to me because I am a very success-driven person. Like, I literally want to go get my PhD just so I can have my PhD.
And say you have it,
and
right?
say I have it. And I what am I going to do with a PhD?
Except pay off school debt.
Right. Which is why I'm not getting my PhD right now. But I want to so bad.
I'm totally with you.
And I am very like, I am adaptive, but if you give me a challenge, like I am 100% going to crush it.
We just had this discussion this week.
Exactly. So like, but I also am like a little bit image conscious, but I am low key. Like I for sure go above and beyond to help people. And I am very like people pleasing, but not necessarily in a negative sense, but kind of in a negative sense. And I'm generous because my love language is gifts. Mm-hmm. So it was just like very interesting to me that like the way that this broke out. Because as people, so a group of people that I know were all like talking about this, and it ended up coming down to like people were saying what type they were, and then I was looking it up and I was like, oh, I can totally see that.
Right.
Like my brother Larry, he's a 8W7 or a 7W8, depending on which test. Let me read this to you. You're going to laugh.
I'm sure.
An 8.
This is the one person who wants to be right about everything, right?
Yes. And then the 7 is the busy, fun-loving type.
Yes.
So, like, that's him 100%.
Totally, yes.
Like, he always wants to be right, but he's the most, like, fun-loving, happy guy.
Whatever he's doing, he wants to have, like, explosive fun
exactly.
with it.
So it was, like, so funny to me because I'm just like, wow, this is, like, crazy.
Yes.
And it's not like this test is, like, 5 questions. It's not like a BuzzFeed quiz where it's just, like, it's like intensive. 14 pages.
It's very intense.
Like, nothing is too, like, a true or false. It's all got, like, 8 different options. So it's not like a 5-minute test you're going to sit down and take and it's going to give you a result. It, like, takes a long time. But it's actually, like, really interesting. So we will put a link to this in our show notes, which you can get if you are a Patreon donator.
Yes. We encourage you to do this because the Enneagram stuff is very cool.
Yeah, I mean, you can also Google it and find your own test.
But whatever.
So yeah, I am definitely gonna have to read that book because I'm sure it was, like, the same person who recommended it, though. Maybe.
No, it was my executive director for 31 that recommended
That's
it.
so funny because, like, it's hardcore going through our church right now. Like, everybody's doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
No, she recommended it. I actually bought it, I think, at the beginning of the pandemic.
And you're just reading it now.
Well, my theory was, first of all, I need to read this huge stack of books because my husband said you cannot buy any more books.
That's why I started buying ebooks so he couldn't see the pile anymore.
But then I thought with just, in our last episode, we had talked about our anxiety and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought this would be because I like to just really explore myself. I like, it's easier for me to accept conclusions that I come to myself versus just somebody telling me as well. So, I'm very open to just learning and exploring and bettering myself because I truly want to be, not just a good mom, but a good wife and a good friend. I want people to know they can come to me, I guess, and I'm not going to always be like this emotional wreck.
Right.
So, all right. That concludes our show. You can always find us on Apple Podcast, on Google Podcasts, on Anchor, Spotify. So we hope that you have enjoyed the show, and we will talk to you again next week.
Bye.
I am MessyBunMama's.
This is MessyBunMama's podcast.
This is Messy Poop.
Messy buns, you silly.